So guys, in the last episode when we went to exploring the man with a little hovercraft, we found out that it is an awesome place to build a base, and that's what we're going to do. So this is me building the base, building a rocket to launch it up into space, well, obviously into space, but to land on the man. But you can see that I built the base with long stilts as legs, and I've got two prongs, I suppose we could call them, and they are basically to get the solar panels to peek over the ridges to gain power. Anyway, not everything was good. We had a couple of fails with the launches here, as you can see, flipping out. And this is mainly because of the girders we added. And they caused some high dynamic drag, and they was sort of like not asymmetrical. Because once you'd had enough drag on one side, then you'd flip the rocket out because the center mass is quite low on this rocket because of the amount of fuel you need. The solution to that, if ever you do something like this, is a shallow launch. So don't turn over so quickly, not so far as you can see with this. The only problem with that is you have a low speed when you get into do your orbit burn, as I'm doing by here. So it takes a little more, but as long as you pack enough into the rocket, you'll be fine. Right, so now we need to do a maneuver node to the man, but don't forget this has to be a North Pole base. So basically what you need to do is get an intersect with the man, and once you get close enough, well, intersect the man, so you impact it, and then use the normal, which is up or down, by the way. You may have to fiddle with the maneuver nodes just to get it right over the North Pole, but that's easy enough to do. Just use radial, use all the maneuver, just fiddle with it until you get it. That's what I did. That's the best way to explain it. And then once you go to burn your node, just keep an eye on it. I normally like to do my nodes like this while in map mode. Don't forget you have to go out to map mode to stage. That's the only pain with this. And hey presto, we're over the North Pole. We don't have to be too precise to follow that node. As long as you get over the North Pole, you can do any correction burns on the way to the man if you need to, if you want a Pacific orbit, or if not, if you're going to land, don't bother, just let yourself go with what you've got. But here comes the landing, and this is the more troubling part. Get into orbit. The landing's coming now. Yeah, basically the landing is going to be the hardest part because I was planning on putting the base over the top of the crack which is on the man, but I realised that these stilts weren't big enough on a test run just to see the size. I hyper-edited the rocket down to the surface. I realised it's going to be hard to build something that big and then land it there. I suppose I could launch multiple launches and then build something huge on there, but that's going to fiddle with the frame rate of this game because any large builds, then KSP does not like it, especially when it has to calculate physics. But also for this landing, as you can see, I redirected ourselves to come closer to the northern crack, the fissure within the man that goes to another dimension. I was going to sort of tell a story that it's a dimension to another Kerbal universe, and they do a storyline around that. I still could do that, in fact. But other than that, you have to make sure that you land on somewhere flat. Now, this is where some mod comes in quite handy. I wasn't sure at this point, but I was looking for potential landing spots by here, and realising that I had the LV909 Terrier engines, that it's going to reduce the speed really slowly, so I decided, let's kill it by here, then we'll hunt for a flat spot, perhaps somewhere on the top of the mountains where we'd have direct sunlight continuously, and we'd also have direct line of sight with Kerbin, which means we'll be in direct communication with Kerbin without having to deploy satellites. We need a base on the North Pole of the moon. Yes, that's what we need. Mind you, is the man tightly locked in Kerbal Space Pro? In other words, the same side of the man keeps on facing Kerbin. I almost said Kerbin. If that's right, then a northern base of the man is not essential. It's not essential on the surface of the moon, except there are possibilities. There are craters which hold ice, which we could use to convert to liquid fuel, liquid oxygen, and liquid hydrogen, and we could also use it as oxygen to fuel the base. Anyway, back to the video. As you probably saw, I was using the TCA mod, I forgot, thruster controlled avionics. I got that to choose a landing spot, and as you can see, it worked quite well, and in fact I'll probably use this mod for landing rockets in the future. I wasn't sure if it would work because it was designed for sort of VTOLs, not rocket-shaped things, but it seems to work quite well. I figured that it'd be about the same, and since we got 3 engines on this, it's, well, basically a VTOL, just with the cabin pointing upwards instead of sideways. Anyway, let's get all this junk out of... Who have we got here? Kenman Kerbin. That's an awesome name. With a name like that, he'd be chosen for the space program, no matter his qualifications. And anyway, the reason why I emptied his pocket is because he was too heavy to jump and I would not be able to get this screenshot, which I might use in the video. But then there is something awesome coming now in this video. Well, I suppose you saw it in the title, the Man Mountain Climbing Rover. I needed to come up with some sort of design. I was going to do something to hover, but I realised that would take a lot of fuel, so a rover would make more sense. It doesn't take as much fuel, and if I use rockets to make it climb, then awesome. A quick interruption of the music. By here I decide that I'm not going to land near the base. No, that'd be too easy. I'm going to land on the side of the mountain and then see if this rover can clamber its way towards the base. So yeah, I thought that'd be an awesome way to deliver the rover to the base. Okay, so here comes the hair-raising part. I designed this to land using the rocket on the bottom there, and it's supposed to tilt downwards so it lands on its wheels. But as you can see, we're on an incline. This was hair-raising moment. Will it survive and will it climb up this hill? Okay, decouple, rocket on, thrust up, and away we go. Yes, we survived! But for how long? And you can see I've designed this as well with RCS thrusters on the top. They basically were there to design to push it down on the surface to make sure that it doesn't fly off, just in case we come on really vertical, steep hills. Also, it should add some traction to the wheels. Oh, tracks. Okay, they're not wheels, they're tracks. Yeah, I didn't use stock parts for this base, or this rover, because I thought I can't not use these parts. They look awesome. They look right for the job. But as you can see, it's working quite well. So let me know what you think of this rover. Perhaps I could make a badass design. I did come up with an idea of making a spherical contraption using the girders like on the base. The base I built, in fact, gave me that idea. That we just put girders around it, make a ball, and then just roll it around the man and see if we can work it on the hills of the surface of the man. I decided at the end that that was just a ridiculous design and probably hard, something that I would have to work up to. Anyway, here we are. I quick saved and I decided, let's give this rover a bit of a test. I was unsure. Testing it on Kerbin, I found that using the rocket, if you're going down a hill, just turn it round and use the rocket to slow yourself down. Now, at this point, I realized we need to test it. We need to see if we do need the rocket. Now, using the brakes on the tracks and the RCS, it slowed down quite well going down that hill. I'm not sure on steeper slopes, I'll have to test it out in future. But here we go, let's see how fast we can get this thing to go as well. Okay, 15 meters per second going up a hill. Oh, that is cool. Okay, we need a bit of rocket. No. Okay, note to self, do not take those sharp edges, which seems to be all over the man, at an angle. They're very disastrous for your Kerbal. Oh, cool. Anyway, on a side note, what do you think about test building and testing weird contraptions on the man? Let me know, even if you want to add your own contraption, just let me know. Anyway, I am a rater. Trust me, I'm an engineer, and there'll be more base building episodes in the future.